People are dying. We have a potential treatment. Could be nonsense, could be great. A potential, because Trump mentioned it. Make sure you get that off you. You understand, we're living with the Soviets. This is Soviets. All right, so let's go to legal insurrection first. Media hoaxes. No, there has not been a spike in calls to poison control because of Trump's recent comments by the great fuzzy slippers at Legal Insurrection. Please read this at the show notes again. That is our newsletter. It's the same thing, bongino.com/newsletter. Here's the short story. For those of you who caught it, I didn't cover it last week for a reason, because it was just a media-driven fairy tale hoax. The president mentioned disinfectants after a brief about disinfectants, and mentioned UV light, and mentioned injecting at some point, these not injecting disinfectants. It was just ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. He was asking a question. Was he being sarcastic? I don't know. He was not suggesting you inject Lysol. And if you're dumb enough to do that, please don't listen to this show. Do not do that. If you have the brain cells of a 2-year-old, please do not inject anything into your body ever unless it's prescribed by a medical professional. If you're getting your medical advice from the president or anyone else, Barack Obama, George Bush, or Donald Trump, you're doing it wrong, okay? He was doing some banter back and forth. It probably wasn't helpful, but the media ran with this story suggesting the president somehow was recommending injecting disinfectants. He wasn't. This is a dumb story. That's why because it's stupid. It's a media story. Wants you to believe it's a story when it's not a story. So of course, Joe, the media madness now is like, they heard about Trump and he mentioned an injection and then he mentioned disinfectants. So clearly people are listening to the president, and poison control is up because everybody's poisoning themselves because the president told them to. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is actually happening. So Fuzzy Slippers addresses this. So let's go first to some of the headlines. This is the disinfectant madness story. Here's Vice. Poison control centers have been extra busy since Trump suggested injecting bleach can cure coronavirus. Just a lie, totally made up. Both parts of it. The Daily Beast, which is always like a disaster, calls about bleach poisoning double in New York City after Trump touts quack coronavirus cure. NBC, quote, a significant increase in calls to Illinois poison control after Trump disinfectant remarks. 2 in Illinois call poison control after Trump COVID briefing. WCIA, New York Daily News, the worst newspaper in America. A spike in New Yorkers ingesting household cleaners following Trump's controversial coronavirus comments. What actually happened? Calls to poison control centers, Joe, have been spiking before President Trump even mentioned disinfectants in that press conference. From the legal insurrection piece, CDC documents, Joe, CDC documents. Let me say this a third time for thick-skulled liberals listening, trying to make a connection between two variables that does not exist. CDC documents show the spike in calls to poison control centers over a month before Trump's recent comments. Quote, the daily number of calls to poison centers increased sharply at the beginning of March for exposures to cleaners and disinfectants.
What, so all those guys were lying?
I know you're stunned, Joe. I get it as the audience ombudsman. It constantly surprises and stuns you as a voice for the audience and a referee that the media never tells you the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump made those comments a week ago. Calls to the CDC's, the poison control hotlines, according to the CDC's own documents, went up last month. Last month. Now, for those of you interested in facts and connecting variables, again, not the media morons, because that's exactly what they are, why do you think that would happen? Why do you think calls to the poison control hotlines about exposure to bleach and other things would go up in March in the middle of the Wuhan virus outbreak?
Well,
Well, maybe because people are washing things with bleach and
There you
foods and
go.
things they probably shouldn't be washing with bleach, and they accidentally bleached some or got some in
Right.
their eye or something. I'm just throwing that out there, folks. Maybe the fact that we're living through a pandemic and that people may be using disinfectants more, therefore the use of disinfectants may involve more exposure to disinfectants, which may also involve some exposure they didn't want, touching their eyes, touching their skin, accidentally swallowing it, and maybe that could have done it. I'm just putting it out there, NBC and the Daily Beast and Vice. I'm just throwing that out there because I know you're not bright enough to connect variable A and variable B by yourself. So the Dan Bongino Show is here to help you.
thank goodness.
March calls spike. April comments. Again, the retconning here. They're really hoping you're stupid. Now, the president also mentioned the possible use of UV light within the body to deactivate the virus. A virus isn't alive. You can't kill a virus. It's not alive, but you can deactivate it. Now, there are companies, ladies and gentlemen, actually doing this, including a company, AYTU, I believe is their ticker. It's a publicly traded company that is working with Cedars-Sinai Hospital and Research Center, a very more than credible medical organization, one of the finest in the world, on potential UV treatments. Now, showing you how insane the media has become, their full pravda. President said inject disinfectants. No, he didn't. You're really dumb if you've heard that. The UV light comments about UV and the light in the body were not drawn out of thin air. They were based on actual studies. Is this going to work? I don't know. Is this being credibly researched? Yes, it is. So, of course, the tech tyrants out there, YouTube, Twitter, I'm sure YouTube will demonetize us again today. I don't give a damn one bit anymore about any of that crap. Facebook and all the other tech tyrants, because President Trump mentioned UV light as a possible treatment. You got to make sure, Joe, you get rid of all evidence that UV light is being researched as a possible treatment. So look at this story at Breitbart, again up in the show notes and worth your time, by Ellen Bakari. YouTube and Twitter censor pharma company researching UV light treatment for Chinese virus.
Jeez.
They're living in the Soviet Union. We are living in the tech tyrant Soviet Union. This is an actual publicly traded company, AYTU. I believe that's their ticker. Yeah, AYTU. Doing actual research on UV light. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I don't know. I like UV light as a deactivation mechanism for viruses. I am not recommending it. I am not involved in this research. I have not read the research. All I'm suggesting is it is a credible company doing credible research. We will see how it turns out. It's got to be wiped clean because the Soviets at YouTube and Twitter, Twitter's saying, by the way, to be fair to Twitter, because they're not fair to us ever. Twitter's saying, oh, it was a mistake, us getting rid of their account. That it's back. But I'll give you their excuse. It always is a mistake, Joe. Always when it's conservative. Always. It's a mistake. YouTube is wiped clean. You can't even see the video. Nice job, YouTube. Good job. People are dying. We have a potential treatment. Could be nonsense. Could be great. A potential, because Trump mentioned it. Make sure you get that off you. You understand? We're living with the Soviets. This is Soviets.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 at @DBongino.